Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Southern Woods and Waters. Hope y'all are at home having a great night in with family and friends tonight watching the show. Got a really fun show for you tonight. It's going to be filled with a lot of family fun and fishing together. Completely different things, actually, styles and two different types of fish. I'm joined live in studio tonight, of course, by my buddy Dayton, as always. And we got Daniel Brown here with us. Daniel's with the Real Deal Guide Service. Y'all have seen him on with us quite a bit before. Filmed several shows together, and tonight's no different. Everybody, you know, they always want to know about the pawpaw shows. When pawpaw going to be on there doing something. Well, tonight, he's going to be on there crappie fishing with Daniel. And we had a great time, and what I want to emphasize is what's special about what we're covering tonight on that side on the lake side of the show is we're not just fishing some secret holes out in the middle of nowhere, Daniel, like, you know, 60 foot deep, and Daniel's got these hidden trees down there. We're fishing stake beds that are marked with public markers that anybody can see driving up and down the lake. Okay? A lot of times these things are a lot more productive than people give them credit for, number one. And I'm not talking about just for crappie either. We've been told some information before about some bass in the area by some guys that know what they're talking about.
A lot of guys will run them stake beds at night.
It's something that's, you got to think about the fact that it might be public and everybody knows about it, but it's literally designed to hold fish and these particular fish, and that's what we were doing. So in the first video segment, coming up in segment 2, we're going to be heading to Percy Priest with Dad and Daniel, and that's what we're doing. We're jig fishing, working our way through these stake beds. Richard wasn't with us. Matter of fact, my cameraman that day, he was a little shaky.
Was he?
But, no, Daniel filmed a lot of it, actually. He was the guide and the cameraman both, and we switched up and did a little bit of it together. The main focus was just to get out there and do a little fishing and get Dad out there on the boat, and had a good time as always.
I mean, had a great time.
Yeah, got him a mess of fish.
He didn't get his waffle, so he's got some fried fish.
He had to get some fried fish to go with it. So looking forward to that. Now, later on in the show tonight, we're going to be going from that into, you know, did you guys grow up fishing in ponds?
Oh, yeah.
My whole life.
Who didn't, right? We grew up with fishing in ponds, and I'm going to take you guys along on a trip I went on with my son, and he's really getting into it now. You know, you get the kids at first, they're kind of standoffish, and then they try it a little bit and dabble, and then they start to get the bug. Well, that's where he's getting, you know, it's to that stage, and there's no better way to kind of push that bug on, then take them somewhere like a little pond. And tonight it's just this little bitty little farm pond. It's down in the woods. You got a bushwhacky way to get down in there to it, but it's full of bluegill and little bass and stuff, and it's the perfect place to take a kid and just throw a little jig, you know, and wear them out. So that's where we're going to be heading later on tonight. So lots of different things going on. But Daniel, with these stake beds, now this was filmed a little while ago, but there's still some fish in around them. But the point is, what is it in particular that draws them to these stake beds?
I usually find after they spawn, they kind of pull back off on them sometimes, but we catch them on the stake beds all year long. It's usually something I hit first thing early in the morning and late in the afternoon too. But usually when I find a fish, there's several fish. And I like to stay way off of it. And we were using jigs that day. I really like to float a minnow through there too. So
well, that's a good way, because he'll get in there and work his way around for you. But you hit something important. The first kind of tip, so to speak, for tonight is the fact of staying back away from them. A lot of guys, they'll go up not just to these stake beds, but to a tree or whatever. You know, well, that tree's full of crappie, and then they pull right on top of it, and they don't catch a fish, or they might catch one or two. But if they would set back 15, 20 yards off that tree and cast into it, it makes a big difference, because you're catching them before they get spooked. And so that was one of the keys that day, was that we stayed well off. It was pretty windy, but I think every time we've ever fished this year, it's been windy. I'm telling you, I think it's just been windy every day. But we were just standing out off of it, letting that wind carry us around and staying out away from the beds enough that we weren't spooking the fish off of the bed. And that was one of the biggest keys. But I think they use them year-round as well, Dan. Number one, we've caught year-round. I mean, they're in there at any given time. They might not be as loaded as they are in the spring, of course. But they're using them for cover, and ambush cover. Bait goes to them.
Well, you got some that's closer to the river channel, and some that's more in a pocket. So you got diversity in each bed. So you got to see which bed might have more fish versus this bed.
Yeah.
You get one a little bit further off the river channel, might not have as many crappie in it. Close to the river channel, you may have a few more. You know, it's getting hot though.
Yeah, because what they're doing this time of year, they're transitioning. They're moving back and forth.
Yep.
So they're in deep water, and they're coming in a little more shallow. And they're feeding.
Then
They're going
they'll go
back to
back
deep
out.
water.
That's
So, yeah, that is another thing. Is right now you really want to be focusing on these stake beds or any kind of structure a little closer to deep water. You're not really looking for it up near the pockets and the coves anymore. You may find a fish there. I'm not saying you won't, but you're more likely going to find them in a deep water cut, you know, something close to deep water. It don't have to be in deep water necessarily. It needs to be close
just
to
adjacent,
somewhere adjacent to the channel or something like that. But would your approach be any different now, Daniel, than it was, you know, a few weeks back?
Yeah, I'm definitely fishing deeper water now. You know.
So are you more vertical now, but still using the jig method?
What we're doing now is we're finding brush and stuff. You know, a lot of stuff we've known, there's a lot of community stuff too, but we'll find it, mark it with our little marker buoys and back off of it and throw at it. So yeah, I haven't really got vertical. Now that I've got the live scope looking forward, I like to throw out there and see what I'm throwing at. So that's changed the way I fish.
Yeah.
I've noticed when I don't get near them and I don't try to vertical fish, I don't spook near as many.
That's changed a lot of people's fishing.
It has. I've changed totally different.
A live scope has changed a lot of people's fishing on everything.
Well, when you can see how the fish react. And
That's the biggest key. The biggest key is that it teaches you how they react. It's kind of like, it's like the game camera of the fishing world. You know, the way game cameras changed the face of hunting, this is done for fishing, but not just that you can pull up and you can see the fish and it makes it easier and blah, blah, blah. You learn a ton.
Yes.
You learn what fish, you know, what are these fish doing? I'm hitting them with a spoon and they're not looking at it.
And
they're
how
just
fast
docile.
they move.
They don't,
And how
they're
fast
just getting
it
out
shows
of the
them
way.
just moving out of the way and stuff.
You know, and then you get the more active fish that are higher up in the water column. They're more active. They're looking for food.
Absolutely.
You get to see crappie doing things that you're told they won't do, and you see them do it.
For sure.
So that's a really neat concept of it too, being able to do that. But you don't have to have that stuff to do what we're talking about tonight. We're finding brush and cover that's very open, easily seen by everybody. It's just a lot of times it's passed by.
Yeah, I don't even think we got the live scope out on this
No,
bird.
we didn't.
We didn't get it out. We were fishing shallow. I don't like using it shallow anyway much. So, and we knew what we wanted to fish. We just knew we had to stay off of it.
Yeah.
Something I've noticed with these stake beds is they're all marked certain ways too. Like there's a pole for the stakes.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll see these buoys that say fish attractor. Okay, a lot of those aren't stakes. A lot of those are trees they put out. But I catch a lot of fish on those too.
Yeah.
So you just really look and find these poles and these buoys. You can catch fish really, really good on them.
And again, not just crappie. You can find bass, bluegill, anything around them. So, well, guys, let's get ready right now and go over and do this week's wild game forecast. This week's Wild Game Forecast has been sponsored by Wilson Banking Trust. You guys can stop in and see them at one of 29 Middle Tennessee locations. Be sure to let them take care of all your banking and financial needs and tell them thank you for everything they do for us here at the show. All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you one thing the forecast is, and that is hot. Okay? That, again, the fish, they're staying pretty deep right now, coming in more shallow to feed. But, guys, what would you say right now? Say somebody could go fishing sometime on Saturday, but they had to pick a time. You go morning right now? Would you go evening? Would you fish at night? What do you think the fishermen are going to be
I'd be there 30 minutes before the sun come up.
First thing in the morning.
Have the boat in, and I want to be running the water when the sun's coming up, and I want to look for surface activity right now. You will find that this time of year. You'll find surface activity. And it's there, it's happening. You just got to know. You just keep looking, and you make the right turn, it's like a whole different world sometimes on Priest. And that's what I would do, topwater lure early.
Early in the morning.
I mean, you got it on all the lakes. I mean, like Old Hickory's got stripe and jumps. Priest has stripe and the jumps. Dale Hollis got bass and the jumps and the minnows. Everything is in the bait kind of early and late. If you get an overcast day where it's raining, you know, where the pressure's down, or you've had a couple of days, it's going to be a lot better topwater. You can still catch them on topwater, but you got to hit them in the head with it. Right when he's after that minnow, you can't wait. But when you reach for your pole and grab that bait, he is gone.
It's too late.
But if he's hitting that minnow and he ain't got it yet, you can throw up there and catch him.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. Well, guys, we want to remind you to follow us on Facebook. Keep up with us there. You can also find us at swwtv.com, find all of our past episodes, and find links to all of our great sponsors. We'll be right back here in just a minute with some more Southern Wisdom Waters.